Today is all about how to talk to Claude. This is the skill that separates the people who get real value out of AI from the people who try it once and walk away disappointed. Not because one group is more technical than the other, but because one group knows how to talk to it and the other one just doesn't know how to yet. So, if we haven't met yet, I'm Dr. Kim, and people call me the AI doctor. I help entrepreneurs and business owners put AI to work without the hype and without needing to be overly technical. So, that's exactly what this series on Claude is all about. If you find this helpful, do me a favor. Hit subscribe so that you don't miss the rest of this challenge. And if you know another entrepreneur who needs this AI tip, please share this with them. So here's what people usually do with Claude. You open it up, you type in, write me a sales description for my program, and the result that you get is really generic. It could basically describe almost any business. The natural conclusion that people reach then is that the tool is overrated and it doesn't work for them. Now, it's not a failure of the tool, it's a failure of communication. You simply didn't give it enough to work with. So let me define the one word that matters most today, and that's prompt. A prompt is simply the instruction that you give an AI model. It's what you type into the box. It's how you talk to Claude. And every AI model on the market works this way. Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, all of them. So none of them read your mind. They basically respond to the prompt that you give them. And the quality of what you get back is tied directly to how well you communicate what you want. So here's what's actually happening when you send the prompt. Claude reads it, it interprets what you're asking for, and then it predicts the most useful response based on everything that it learned during training. So a short, vague prompt leaves most of the decisions up to Claude. A clear, complete prompt makes those decisions for it, so the result comes back closer to what you were actually wanting. So today I'm going to teach you how to talk to Claude properly. It's a four-step method for writing a strong prompt every time, and it's spelled CARE. So here's the CARE method. C is for context. This is the background that Claude needs before it can help, and it's who you are, what you offer, and what you're trying to accomplish. A is for audience. Who is the output intended for? The more specific you are about the reader or viewer, the more precise the result. R is for rules and role. Your guidelines, your voice, what to always do, what to avoid, and the language that does not fit your brand. This is the step that makes the work sound like your business rather than a generic source. Role is part of this step too. You can tell Claude who to be, such as write as a seasoned copywriter or respond as a skeptical CFO, and it will take on that expertise and point of view. E is for example, and this is a sample of what a good response looks like. When you provide something you already consider strong, Claude has a clear target to work toward. Context, audience, rules, and role. Example. That is how you talk to Claude. Every strong prompt has these four parts in it. So one caution before we go any further. More is not always better. You don't need to stuff your prompt with 50 rules and a dozen examples. Just a few clear rules and one or two strong examples will outperform a giant pile of stuff every time. So keep each part focused. Now that we've seen the context of CARE, let's take a look at what it looks like in action. So let's start with something pretty innocuous. Write a sales description for my coaching program. And Claude is going to take that information and yeah, we're going to get a response. It may even ask us a few questions. So it's going to think, and what it's thinking is, okay, this is a vague problem. It's a vague promise and a few filler phrases maybe. So we're going to get the kind of output that gives AI a bad reputation. The prompt gave Claude absolutely nothing except for just a description for my coaching program. So here are the questions. Let's see, I'm going to tell it generic. There we go, because I didn't want to give you all of the top secrets of all the other programs that I've got running. So as you can see, we have a response. Turn the AI tools you're already paying for into systems that run without you. And it's given us, okay, It's given us a sales description for the coaching program, and it's pretty generic. Now, watch what happens when we give it a prompt that follows the CARE framework. So, the context: I run a 6-week group coaching program called Momentum. It helps service business owners who are fully booked but barely profitable. And I know that's a whole lot of people out there. They are skilled at their work and stuck trading every hour for a dollar. The program teaches them to raise their prices, tighten how they deliver, and build real time off back into their week. It's $1,200, runs live on Zoom in a small cohort with weekly calls and done for you templates. So, the audience: service businesses owners doing 80K to 150K a year, mostly women, proud of their work, stretched thin, and wary of anything that resembles hustle culture or anything like that. So the same program, but look how much faster we got a response because we gave it such more meat inside of the prompt. So now it understood the problem, it understood the reader, the brand voice, and the role that it was playing, and the standard to aim for. So this is much closer to something that I would actually want to use than something that was generically written up here at the top. So let's take a look at it. You are fully booked. Your calendar proves it. Your bank account does not. That's the trap of being good at what you do. Demand goes up, so you take on more, and somewhere in there, you become the most overworked person in your own business. The fix is not more clients, it's fewer hours that pay you far better. And since I have trained Claude on my writing style and my cadence and the things that I like to actually include, it writes more like me. Notice that this does not sound like typical AI writing. So here's what most people skip. Just because we get a strong result, that does not mean it's the final product. This is just a draft. The first response, even a really good one, is a starting point. So we should treat prompting as an iterative process rather than a one-shot command. So from here, we're going to keep shaping the results, and there are 2 ways to do that. The first way is an add-on prompt. Stay in the same conversation, and we're going to tell Claude what we want to change. And here is what we want to change. Here's the prompt. Good start. Make the opening line stronger. Cut anything that sounds like a brochure and tighten the whole thing to about 120 words. Keep the warm, direct tone from my example. So we're going to let that run. So notice I'm not starting over, I'm directing it. The same way I would give a second round of notes to a writer on my team, except each pass it gets closer and closer to my voice. So the second way to edit it, quite frankly, is to manually do it yourself. Copy it and paste it into a Google Doc or to a Microsoft Word, and you're going to rewrite the lines that don't sound like you. You're going to put in your own energy, your own writing style. Swap in a phrase that you would actually say. Add the detail that only you know. So very often the fastest path is both. We do a round 2 like we just did, and I'll take a look at it and then come back and edit manually. So let's take a look. The work is good, the money doesn't show it. You're booked solid, which feels like success until you check what is left after all those hours. Being great at what you do quietly turned you into the hardest working, lowest paid person on the payroll. Over 6 weeks in a small cohort on Zoom, we changed 3 things: your prices, so the math finally works, how you deliver, so each project costs you less, and your week, so in real time off stops being something you postpone. Weekly live calls, done for you templates, no blank pages. Now this sounds a lot more like me. So what I would do is I would take this, I would paste it into Word, and I would zhuzh it up a little bit, and then we would be left with something that AI started, but I completed. But it started with knowing how to talk to Claude. So you may be wondering, when do I apply care? Well, care applies to anything that you're going to ask Claude to write. For a client email, the context is the situation, the audience is the client, the rules and role are your tone and who you want Claude to be, and the example is maybe a previous email that worked well. The same thing applies to a social media post, a proposal, or even a job listing. The 4 parts of the prompt remains constant. You have the background, you have the intended reader, you have the rules and role, and you have an example of strong work. Then you just refine from there. There's also an efficiency benefit. You don't need to retype all four parts every time. You can write your rules and a strong example the first time and then reuse them in future prompts. So that's day two, how to talk to Claude. Every AI model responds to prompts, and the prompt is the single biggest factor in what you get back. When the output is mediocre, the way you talk to Claude is usually the reason. Give Claude a prompt with context, audience, rules and role, and an example. Keep each part focused rather than overstuffed. Refine until it sounds like you and treat the result as a draft that you finish, not a final product that you publish. So, tomorrow, let me tell you, there's one frustration with everything that you learned today. You have to provide the context and those rules every time you start a new conversation. Retyping who you are, how you sound, and over, it can get a little exhausting. So, tomorrow, I'm going to show you how to fix that. Day three is Claude Projects. Now, this is a dedicated workspace where your business background, your brand voice, and your rules live permanently. You set them up one time, and Claude remembers them in every conversation inside that workspace, so you never have to start from a blank page again. Care in the practice is the practice that you learned today, but projects is where that practice becomes automatic. So here's your homework. Take one item you need to write this week, whether it's a post, whether it's an email, or an offer. Write it two ways. First, use a weak one-line prompt. Then take the care framework and write it with a full care prompt. Then do one round of refining, either with an add-on prompt or by editing it yourself until it sounds like you. Share with the group which element produced the biggest improvement and whether refining it got it the rest of the way. In most cases, the biggest jump comes from the rules and role or the example. If this helped you, please hit subscribe so the rest of the challenge comes straight to you, and share this video with another entrepreneur who needs it. Ciao for now.